Hello class, this is Demetrius Wilson again. We are here with Human Relations, Strategies for Success, People, Groups, and Teams, Chapter 7. Have you ever noticed that now in high schools they have four desks that are seated looking directly at each other, so two people on each side? It's because they want kids and people to learn and understand how to work in groups and how to work in teams. When I was going through school, they didn't do a lot of that. And I see a lot of people struggle to work effectively with other teams and other individuals. So our learning objectives are discuss the characteristics and purposes of formal and informal groups, discuss the development of groups, examine barriers to group effectiveness and their resolutions, define leadership styles and types of power, and that will have a big impact on how well your group actually works. Explain the steps of team building, improve the organizational climate of the workplace, and understand the new organizational or corporate culture. I worked with the president for a company before, and he would always tell me that, Demetrius, my job is to look after the organizational health of the company. So it's not that he was getting down to the nitty-gritty and figuring out how to do A, B, and C, but he was looking out for the organizational health of the company, stopping silos from forming. That means like cliques within the workplace, and making sure everybody got together for one team and one vision. So why do people join groups? Formal group, and we have two different types. We have formal and informal. A formal group is governed by formal structure of an organization. So I run a customer service department, so that would be a formal group. An informal group is formed around common interests, habits, and personality traits. So for instance, the smokers. Everybody goes outside and smokes at 9:15. We're the smokers, we're an informal group. Fulfill needs that cannot be fulfilled when acting alone. So you have affiliation, attraction, activities, assistance, and proximity, all of which we will discuss. So a group is two or more people who interact with the other members or on either an individual or network basis and share common goals. So you can't have a group of one. You can have an army of one like the commercial, but you can't have a group of one. A group is two or more people. It's governed by formal rules and unspoken norms as a system of attitudes and behavior. So if everybody in the customer service unit has to get there at 8 o'clock to answer the phones, that's one of the norms. If it's an informal group and one of the norms is we all meet outside at 9:15 to smoke, then that's one of the norms of the informal group. And norms are just standards of behavior. Group development is a task activity, assignment of tasks just to get the job done. So there are a lot of tasks throughout the day that we have to get done, sort of on a list of 1, 2, 3, and those are just task activities that are going to be there. And you have the group process, and that's the way the group members deal with one another while working on a task. Later on we'll continue to talk about forming, storming, norming, and conforming. That's how you create a group, the conflict processes that you go through, and then when you get to the norm part. So you have to think about the group process and what do they do best, and how do they work together in the best and most effective ways to get to the answers that they need. So forming has members adjust themselves in terms of expected behavior and begin accepting one another, right? So that's the initial phase where they form the actual group. Redefining as a group members re-examine the task as a group problem. Coordinating, the group starts collecting information and translating it into group objectives, and formalizing, the group works smoothly in its roles and accomplishes its objectives, right? There are certain steps that you have to take 1, 2, 3, 4 in a group format. Barriers to group effectiveness, most interesting topic. So groupthink, the problem of over-conforming. So we're going to watch a video that's going to be in the chapter and available for you to check out, and it shows how if you over-conform, a lot of mistakes will be made. Conflict is not always bad, right? And that's one of the questions I'll ask you on some of the tests. Is conflict always bad? No, conflict is good because then you'll come up with the best answer. Status differences that cause negativity, right? So I have a lot of that where people don't necessarily respect or like what your status is. They've been there longer and you're higher ranking and younger, all kinds of different things. Excessive conflict among members, maybe they just don't like you. I have a lot of people at work that they just don't like me, and there's nothing I can do about that. Nothing I can do to change. I could buy them a car, they still wouldn't like me, so I just don't even think about it. Lack of creativity. If you're not creative, you can't be effective and bring up new ideas for the group. One member domination. So you always got this one person just trying to take over every single group, and a lot of times they're one-sided in regards to their views, and they'll get kicked out of the group very quickly. One of the things I was just passing by watching one time was a lady. I think her name was Audrey. She's a singer, and she was on a Donald Trump show, and she just tried to force her ideas into every group process. And that kind of was one of the things that said, hey, we got to get you out of here because you're not working with the effective groups. If that was the case, we just put you on your own, and you come up with these own individual projects and all the solutions. And resistance to change. If you don't want to change, you're going to watch a video on that as well. Then you know what. You're going to be stuck probably in the same thing that you're doing. Expand your horizons, open your eyes, learn new things, be open to new things, because if you're open to new things, your career will be open to new possibilities. So conformity. Acting in coordination and agreement with one's group. And so, like I said, conformity is fine. Groupthink is not good, because groupthink is like, oh, I love you guys so much as a group, we're going to continue to just agree. Conformity is like, hey, we talked this out, we hashed it out, let's get on the same page. Okay, this is the direction that we're going to go. Reason members of groups conform, number one, is to avoid pressure or rejection by the rest of the group. Now that shouldn't be a reason why. So it's like on the jury, the guy's innocent and everybody else saying he's guilty. You shouldn't budge. You have to say, hey, this is the right thing to do. And you watch a video about that as well, where someone shouldn't have budged, but they did, and then bad things happen. And then the desire to meet the group's shared objectives or to be rewarded for their work. So obviously, we all should want to look out for the group's objective, which is, going to be aligned with the company's objective. So status, rank held by individual within the group. So sources, person's formal position in the company, right? So I'm a manager, that's my formal position in the company. Effective interpersonal skills. If I don't have effective interpersonal skills, then I'm probably going to have a problem dealing with and coordinating a group effort. Personal charm or charisma. If you don't have any charm or charisma, things may be very dry, very slow. Education level. You guys are in a class right now, so obviously you know the importance of education and learning new things. You learn new things, you learn how to do better in groups. Physical appearance, right? If somebody comes in, they don't look the part, then you may not listen to them. If you're dressed, suited and booted, and you come in every day and you look like a good business casual working individual, then yeah, they probably will listen to what you have to say. Now you could come in and have the same knowledge, but you come in a t-shirt and shorts, and they really don't necessarily want to listen to you. It's just part of human nature. Persuasive ability, how persuasive are you to change someone's opinion or to get them on board with what you're doing, and other values shared by the group, right? So if they have values that are way out in left field and your values are way out in right field, it's going to be a big task of heavy lifting to kind of bridge that gap in between. So solutions to group effectiveness barriers. You have changing and effective norms, right? So change is good, and change is always going to happen. One thing that's for sure, things are going to change. Identifying problems, so you identify the problems, you attack them aggressively, and you handle them. And improving the composition of the group, right? Maybe you could do a team exercise, where they fall backwards and somebody's supposed to catch them, but hopefully you want to make sure you got a double spotter there, because you don't want anybody to fall, and then you be in HR. Hidden agendas. Now we all have hidden agendas. Do I have hidden agendas that I carry out throughout my daily basis? Yeah. I want to move up in the organization. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't think I have any bad hidden agendas, but there's still hidden agendas. And hidden's not always bad, but sometimes hidden is just that I'm not communicating those. So you don't want to go and get hired to a job and say, hey, Mr. Manager, you're my manager. I'm going to take your job, right? Just probably not the time and place to say that, even if that's what you're thinking. So it's not a bad hidden agenda. But we're going to talk about the negative aspects of hidden agendas. So there's secret wishes, hopes, desires, and assumptions that individuals don't want to share with the group, right? So I don't want to share that with the group for whatever reason. I don't want to share other things, and they have hidden agendas as well. Maybe they're looking at a different company, all kind of different things. It can be reduced through good communication, right? So communication is always the key. Good group composition, right? So if you have a good team that trusts each other, then maybe you'll open up and share a little bit more. And I can tell you that that's one of the things that I, probably need to work on more, is just opening up and sharing more of me with my team. Creation of norms that discourage them, right? So if your norms discourage the team, then that's gonna put a sour taste in their mouth. Leadership Very, very important. So ability to influence people towards the attainment of goals, right? So I want to influence you to reach these goals that we have in place. Leadership arguments. Leaders are born with traits that make them effective, and leaders have mastered different sets of skills. Well, you always see these individuals who are really good at sales, and then when they're put in a capacity where they have to manage others, sometimes they may struggle. But just because you can do ABC good doesn't mean you can manage people who do ABC good as well, right? So sometimes that doesn't always work out. So you have to be really careful as a manager and an upper level manager to select the correct person that can actually have good people skills and manage and still be good at the actual technical functions. But you don't want to find somebody who's not a people person at all, and the only reason why you gave them the job is because they're the highest performer. They probably should just stay in that position and continue to be a high performer. Leadership style, so you have autocratic leaders, so followers have little or no freedom to disagree or disobey. This is my way or the highway. If you don't like it, get out, kick rocks. Consultative leaders delegate authority and confer with others in making decisions, accept full responsibility for the decision. So you get with your team, you guys come up with the group decision, but if it fails, you take the blame as a manager. You don't say, oh, Bobby Sue, it was her fault, right? You say, okay, it's our fault, we did this, that. Then you go back to the team and use it as a learning experience. Participative leaders invite subordinates to share the power and place equal emphasis on company needs and group morale, right? So they're getting everybody involved, more of the holding hands, kumbaya style. And then free reign leaders, right? Act as a representative for the group members and allow them to plan, control, and complete their tasks as they wish. So in that situation, you may say, well, why would you do that? Well, you would do that because you might be in an environment like kind of sometimes in a sales environment where it's just a results-based business. So I'm not going to say that any one of these four are correct. What I'm going to say is that they're appropriate at different times, and as a manager, you have to learn which style goes where. So leaders in the use of power and authority. So power is the ability of one person to influence another, right? So if I'm a manager, I typically can influence people to do certain things. Now, I could not be a manager and I could influence people because maybe I have a different type of power, like a charismatic type of power, which we'll discuss. The authority is vested power and influence or command within an organization. So these are the sources of power. So legitimate power is based on the position a person holds in the organization. If you're a manager, director, vice president. Reward power is the user's ability to control or influence others with something of value, like a raise or a vacation. Coercive power depends on the threat of possible punishment, right? I'm going to write you up, I'm going to fire you. Networking power is attained by gaining contacts and knowing the right people, right? I've got a good connect here, good connect there. Expert power comes from the person's knowledge or skill in the areas of critical success to the firm. So I know how to do ABC better than anybody else, so I've got this expert power. A lot of times people don't want to let go of that expert power because they don't want to be fired or be replaced by the newer, younger version. Charismatic power based on the attractiveness a person has to others. Now, I'm not saying how much you like them, but just how attractive you are in the workplace. Like, you speak a certain way, you look a certain way. It's like, hey, I'm good with being led by that person as opposed to, what, I just don't like that person. That person turns me off, and so I don't want to deal with them. Team building is the use of groups and committees in an organization. Work team, employees who function as a unit and achieve group goals. This increases individuals' say in their jobs, which improves job satisfaction, morale, and productivity. Sometimes people just want to have a say in what's going on. They just want to be heard. Requires formal training. And then implementation requires knowing what are individual expectations from the team, what skills, abilities, or talents do various individuals bring into the team as well, right? So if you're a manager, you have to play towards individual strengths, and you'll hear me say that a lot. You want to say, okay, you're good at ABC, that's what I want you to focus on. You're good at XYZ, that's what I want you to focus on. Now, I also want you to train and get better at ABC if you're just the best at XYZ, but I want you to focus on that, and I want to play towards your strengths. All right, last slide, and you're going to have to look at slide 19 to 24 on your own. So organizational climate involves the way members of an organization see it in terms of trust. Do you trust the organization? Recognition, freedom to create fairness and independence. A lot of people say, oh, that's not fair. I hear that a lot, so people really do care about that. Important components of perception, structure, and interaction. Remember, perception is reality, because that's what people believe their reality is. Influences and shapes the behavior in individuals, basis for understanding organizational situations. So as always, have a good day and a great week.